Foxes are clever, persistent, and always looking for an easy meal. If you've ever walked out to your raised beds and found paw prints, dug up soil, or seedlings uprooted overnight, you know how frustrating they can be. Most modern gardeners rush to buy sprays, ultrasonic gadgets, or plastic predators. But long before any of that, our ancestors had the same problem. And they solved it with methods that cost nothing but common sense. These weren't gimmicks. They were reliable defences that kept harvests safe for generations. Today, those old-fashioned ways still work, and when combined with traditions from other cultures, they provide a toolkit that no fox can outsmart. Why scent barriers have always been the first line of defence. Foxes live by their noses, and our grandparents knew how to use that against them. In rural homesteads, wood ash from the fireplace was scattered around garden beds. It disguised plant smells, added minerals to the soil, and confused foxes enough to keep them cautious. Some families went further, spreading human hair collected from barber shops or soaking rags in vinegar or kerosene to hang along garden posts. The message was clear: humans live here. Native American tribes understood the same principle, but on a larger scale. They burned brush and scattered ash across food plots, not only to enrich the soil, but to keep predators like foxes and coyotes at a distance. The scent of fire and ash was a signal of danger that no animal ignored. You can do the same today by keeping a bucket of wood ash from your stove or fire pit. Sprinkle it in a ring around your raised beds after rain, or hang cloths dipped in vinegar on posts. Refresh it regularly, and you'll be repeating the same time-tested practice that worked for generations. Physical barriers made from natural materials stopped foxes cold. Even the strongest scent won't deter every fox, so families turned to physical obstacles. In old Europe, hedges of hawthorn or blackthorn were planted as living fences. These thorny walls, grew denser with each season and were laid and woven into impenetrable barriers that foxes avoided. Settlers in North America, they used brush, stones and brambles around gardens in the same way. A line of heavy flat stones prevented foxes from tunnelling beneath raised beds, while thorny branches discouraged them from crossing. Now, farmers in the Middle East used an even simpler method, laying thorn mats directly over freshly seeded beds at night. These mats, woven from dried brush, were lightweight and easy to remove during the day, but foxes quickly learned that digging there was not worth the trouble. For your garden, line the base of your raised beds with stone or brick and, don't be afraid to use thorny clippings from pruning as a natural wall. It doesn't look neat, but neither did the hedgerows of Europe, and they protected food supplies for centuries. Noise and unpredictability were trusted deterrents. Foxes don't like surprises, and old-time gardeners knew that sudden noises would spook them. In many rural areas, tin cans, metal lids, or even pots were tied to posts so they clattered with every gust of wind. These weren't decorations, they were alarms. Japanese farmers developed an even more elegant solution with shishi odoshi, bamboo water devices that filled and tipped with a rhythmic clack, startling wildlife day and night. If you're dealing with foxes today, stringing up a few cans or hanging bamboo tubes works the same way. Each rattle and clang reminds the fox that your garden is unpredictable and unsafe. Consistency is key here. Replace broken rattles or move them occasionally so the fox doesn't get used to them. Guard animals were, one of the most reliable defences. Throughout history, people leaned on animals to guard their food and homes. Small farm dogs tethered near gardens would bark through the night, not really to attack foxes, but to let them know someone was watching. In Europe and colonial America, geese were valued for their loud honking, which scared off both foxes and human intruders. In Scandinavia, the approach was different but just as effective. Families would deliberately mark territory with dog urine, mimicking the scent of larger predators. Foxes, being wary of wolves and dogs, avoided those areas instinctively. Modern gardeners can apply this by letting dogs patrol the perimeter in the evening, or encouraging them to mark near raised beds. If you don't keep a dog, well, consider a small flock of geese or ducks. They add food value while doubling as noisy deterrents. You know, consistency was what made old methods reliable. What set these old-fashioned practices apart was not just their simplicity, but, well, their persistence. Ash was reapplied after every rain, hedges were tended each season, and rattles were repaired whenever they broke. Folks understood that foxes were patient, but not if the human defence was more patient still. The same principle applies today, really. Don't expect to sprinkle ash once or hang a tin can and be done with it. Refresh your defences, walk your garden daily, and leave footprints and scents around the beds. Foxes are opportunists. They look for the path of least resistance. The more consistently you defend your garden, the faster they learn to, well, move on. Global wisdom proves the old ways endure. From Native American ash scattering to Japanese noisemakers, from Scandinavian scent marking to Middle Eastern thorn mats, cultures across the world developed, remarkably similar strategies. The tools were different, but the principles were the same. Confuse the fox's senses, create physical obstacles, use noise and presence, and, well, never let your guard down. These lessons remind us that gardening has always been a struggle against clever animals, and that the solutions don't come from gadgets but from centuries of accumulated wisdom. The raised bed fox problem is not new, and neither are the solutions. Our grandparents and great-grandparents kept their harvests safe with ash, hedges, noise, animals and persistence, and these methods still work today. They cost nothing, they improve the garden instead of harming it, and they connect us directly to the traditions that kept food on the table for centuries. If you found this guide valuable, subscribe to the Backyard Wisdom channel for more history-rooted survival knowledge, and well, share this with friends who battle garden pests. These aren't just old stories, they're practical defences, and they'll keep your harvest safe just as they did in generations past.